thank all of you for being in attendance. Hopefully you'll realize this is a family show. So feel free to jump in the chat, throw some questions. If you have jokes, we love those too. So, you know, be willing to jump in and just participate.
Right. Our life has been a dialysis and transplant journey, and we are happy to be able to share it with you.
Yeah, so thank you, and I will try and share my screen. Hopefully this will go well.
It's a new platform for us, so we're trying to figure out technology.
Technology, there it is. All right, here we go.
All right.
Can everybody see the screen? I hope you can. This presentation is called Urine Inspiration. Some of you will understand that joke now. Some of you maybe get that later. So don't worry if you don't. We'll have a big, you know, punchline at the end.
Right, and you can see our little baby faces. Sam and I met when we were in high school, and you know, we've had a long journey with dialysis, and hopefully our story can help other people.
Yeah. So when I was 19 years old, I was Superman. I thought I had the perfect life. I was a freshman in college. I had all the friends that I ever thought I could have. And I had the most beautiful girlfriend of all time who would eventually become my wife and my own superhero. And I was also playing a high level of college soccer. And I had dreams and goals of being a professional soccer player, and everything was on track until I started to show the signs and symptoms of kidney failure. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor took a simple blood test and a simple urine sample and came back with the results that my kidneys had failed and that I was going to have to be on dialysis. So he went on to talk about dialysis, how my life would never be the same, how I would never be able to do this and never be able to do that. And he finished that statement with, "You will never play soccer again." And in 1 second, I lost my past, my present, and my future. I went from being a person with dreams and goals to becoming a patient. That, you know, that word led to people with, you know, different requirements, different expectations of what I could and could not do.
Yeah, and different treatment.
Yeah, and so different treatment for sure. So this doctor just kept talking about dialysis as if it was a life sentence and
a death sentence.
Yeah. And we all know that's not true.
And I was apprehensive. He came back. I knew something was wrong because he was like throwing up 5 or 6 times a day. And he was exhausted with anemia. So I knew something was wrong. And my mom, like Sam and I had been dating about 1.5 years, and I really wasn't sure what was going on. When he returned with the news that his kidneys had failed and he was going on dialysis, I didn't know how to deal with that. I'm 18 years old. And, you know, my mom knew something was wrong too. And I did something that most teenage girls don't do. I went to my mom and said, can you tell me what to do? I don't know how to deal with this. You know, most teenage girls at that point would be like, "Mom, stop telling me what to do." And she gave me the best advice. She said, "You know what, Lacey? I don't think you should stay with him because he's sick. But I don't think you should leave him just because he's sick." It's like, well, thanks, Mom. That didn't help. I could have come up with that on my own. But I realized, had this disease not come into our lives, there would be no reason for us to break up. We were best friends. You know, we were having the time of our lives. So I went back to him and said, "All right, look, if I'm going to go on this journey with you, I learned it was a journey. You know, dialysis wasn't going to be a quick fix. Then I need to know everything there is to know about dialysis." And I said, "Let's go."
Yep. So I had a left arm fistula created, and in no time we were walking into our very first our very first in-center hemodialysis clinic. I'm a 19-year-old angry patient in denial. I didn't want to hear what anybody had to say. I didn't want to hear what anybody wanted to me, to tell me what to do.
Right.
And I could have easily been called non-compliant.
And I was an 18-year-old kid that knew nothing about dialysis.
But those people in that clinic, they really became, they began to empower us right away. Instead of calling us non-compliant, they were there with respect and encouragement and empathy. And so they started to teach us everything there was to know about dialysis from the wheels up. I learned self-cannulation within 3 months. I learned how to troubleshoot, how to take care of myself between treatments. So that
we did.
Yeah, we both did. Lacey and I walked into that clinic for the first time together. And it was so awesome because everybody there treated us as if we were a team and as if we were their own family.
Basically, it was, if you're going to be here, you're going to learn. And so we had like this amazing empowerment because, we would spend 7 years in center. And that entire time I was chairside. I was still in high school, but every chance I had to be next to him, I was there. And when the technicians came up and they like an alarm was going off, this is why this alarm is going off. This is what I'm doing. Like he said, self-cannulation, and we learned everything together. And by the end of 7 years in center, we were married. We went to college. Sam went back to play college soccer. Awesome. He was also the team captain, won 2 Texas state championships at Sam Houston. Hey, but if we didn't tell someone that he was a dialysis patient, no one would know because they were our family. They taught us how to deal with life and thrive on in-center dialysis.
Yeah, and so we arrived to the point where we were considered self-care. We could run the machine, we could run the treatment, terminate the treatment, hit disinfect on the machine and walk out. Yeah. And that's so awesome because we had control over the treatment and that led to better outcomes, more confidence in living our lives.
Absolutely. I was scared when I walked in day one. After like 7 years, I was confident in dialysis.
And so one day this home therapy nurse was walking through the clinic and she saw that we were in charge of the treatment and she stopped and said, "Hey, what do you think about doing this at home?"
"Yes, please."
And before I could open my mouth, Lacey signed us up for home therapy training, which was such a special story because usually our care partners are the last ones to know about home dialysis. And so,
or about dialysis in general.
Yeah, or dialysis in general. But, because of all that empowerment, we were prepared for home therapies and, we were ready to go. And these people saw Lacey as my care partner. If you have one, or a handful of care partners, ask questions, bring them with you as often as they can. Because,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Because our care partners are half of the decision to go home.
Right. And because they allowed me to be chairside, they saw me and I learned and I became confident. And that's something that I'm incredibly passionate about, is to bring our care partners back into the equation. They saw me.
Yeah. And so if you're a care partner of a patient, make sure that you are seen. And if you're a professional patient facing, make sure you see your care partner. So we have a little activity for you here.
How many of you can see the circles? It's not a trick. It's not in the text. There are 16 circles in this slide.
We gave you about 5 seconds to take a long look. And now.
No. So if you look at the vertical lines in between the squares, those are the circles.
Hopefully they're starting to come into view.
Hopefully. And I know everybody sees the squares. and we see our patients. So the squares represent our patients. The circles represent our care partners. We need to see our care partners because I was seen.
And care partners, you need to make sure you are seen. You know, you are that important. Your story and your experience with our loved ones is just that important. So they saw Lacey and we were ready to go home. And finally we did. You know, we trained for some weeks, 6 weeks, and we finally took our first machine home.
Look at those babies.
Yeah, we were little. I had hair back then, but Lacey and I had to take this floor model machine home that day, and we didn't have these really nice portable machines that we have now. But the point is, we had the freedom to dialyze at least when we wanted.
Right. We were still 3 days a week with this big machine. We were basically trained PCTs, and it was built to the house. So 3 days a week, cool. But we could, you know, schedule our lives around 3 days a week.
Yeah, it was nice. And, you know, that freedom was something that so many of our patients are looking for. And so Lacey and I would stay like this at home with a big machine for 5 years. And in 2005, we were having our monthly nephrology appointment. And here comes this next stage, you know, representative. Yeah. Walks in the room and starts talking, blah, blah, blah. And all I hear is blah, 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 portable.
Yes, please.
And just like that, Lacey signs us up for the brand new portable FDA approved next stage machine. And you know, when she said portable, my ears perked up, and Lacey started writing. Yeah,
it was like, you can go on a plane. You can take it on a plane. It flies for free. Go on a cruise, road trip. Well, we live in Texas. When you go on a road trip, that's going to be a long time. So I was like, oop, hold up. I'm going to start writing down all the places I want to go.
Yeah, so we were excited about being able to go on the road, and we trained for a short amount of time. This time we trained on this new machine for 2.5 weeks.
And well, I'm sorry, when they showed it to us, I was like, is that a toy? I mean, it was so tiny compared to what we already had at home.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the next stage machine, it's this little microwave sized box behind us, you know, way smaller than the machine that we had before. And so we were really excited. Like I said, we trained only 2.5 weeks, and we took our machine home to Houston, Texas. And within 12 hours
of taking it home,
within 12 hours, we had to take our first road trip.
And hurricane evacuation. So Hurricane Rita was slamming into the coast of Texas, and with 1 million people, not even joking, we had to leave. For what we thought was going to be a 45-minute trip turned into a 21-hour nightmare.
Yeah. And so, you know, we're really passionate about this story because, you know, we made it out, but 2 of our in-center friends did not.
Right.
You know, they couldn't find treatment. Some of the clinics were closed. And so these 2 friends of ours didn't make it. They actually passed away. And what's so disturbing about that is those 2 people were able to take care of themselves. They were able to be empowered, but they just didn't have the education. So, you know, ask questions, reach out to your social workers and your nurses and doctors about how you can do more to take care of yourself, because these 2 could have.
Right. And, you know, we were grateful that we had this. We were scared because Sam was the 2nd patient in Texas to have this portable machine. And we were just praying that it worked, and it did.
Yeah.
And it saved our lives, you know, and we were introduced to the fact that, okay, we have more capability. We have more options, more modalities, you know, and that's what we need to share with our patients, you know, the education. But it was just amazing.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish I could go back in time to when we first met that next stage employee, and you know, she's saying, you can take it on a boat, you can take it on a plane. And I should be in the background going, or you can run for your life.
Because we did.
Because we did. And, you know, it saved our lives. And we returned safely after a week of evacuation to our home. And that's when the real benefit of home dialysis began: frequency.
Right. And so many of our patients will say, like, I don't want to dialyze 3 days a week. Why would I want to do it 5 days a week? Sam went from dialyzing 3 days at 4.5 hours per treatment, and that includes transportation there and back, bad weather.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying like just the treatment, but
Yeah.
then you have the transportation and the bad weather and everything. And here we are with this portable machine, and we were dialyzing 5 days a week at 2.5 hours per treatment. And he felt amazing. We had more time for social life. It saved our lives. And we got to follow our passion, which is live rock and roll music, you know, and you see that bottom black and white picture. We went to Austin like 6 weekends in a row. It was amazing. We were dialyzing at rock stars' houses, you know, and our friends would come over and hang out with us. It was amazing. Yeah. And then he became the perfect candidate for a transplant because his blood was being cleaned more often.
And that was awesome. Because my blood was being cleaned so much more often, my blood work was coming back like I had a transplant. Right. So there was no after treatment hangover, that, you know, that terrible feeling where people have to sleep for several hours after the treatment. Right. That went away. Cramping went away. High and low blood pressure went away. You know, I saved $300 a month not taking my blood pressure medication
anymore. He came off of 3 different blood pressure medications.
Yeah, and it was just amazing how much better I felt. You know, I had the ability to travel with my soccer teams. I became a professional soccer coach, and you know, we just had this life that we had to live, and we had the ability to do so. So one day, Lacey and I were talking, and I mentioned, "Hey, what do you think about me having a kidney transplant?"
I said, I want to be tested to be your donor.
And so we had a conversation about it, and, you know, we decided to go talk to our nephrologist, and we did. And we broke the news to the nephrologist that, hey, Lacey wants to be my donor. And he, without even looking at, testing us, without assessing us, he just said, don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. There's less than a 9% chance that you two will be a match.
To which I responded, well, we're not going to find out unless I'm tested, are we?
So we put up a fight, you know, and that's the thing. You know, sometimes people are going to tell you no. If you want to pursue something that badly, go for it.
Yeah, don't take no for an answer.
That's right. So, you know, whether it be home dialysis, whether it be more frequent treatments, whether it be transplant,
right?
Keep asking. Do what it takes to go where you want to go.
Fight back.
And so we did. We fought back, and we were tested. And long story short, we were a match.
And
so we set.
Well,
real quick, we had an opportunity to help raise funds for our transplant because Lacey and I were going to be out of commission, you know, as a husband and wife donor and recipient.
So we had part of the care team when you go through the testing. We had the financial advisor come by and say, you know, if you guys are both going to be out of commission, you know, for a couple of months recovering, how are you going to pay for this? And I mentioned all the rock stars that we hung out with in Austin. We asked them to come play a benefit show for us, and it was called Kidneypalooza. And they said yes. And in 4 hours during the show, they helped us raise enough money for 4 months of recovery to pay our bills.
Yeah. And so, you know, we set our transplant date for June 22nd, 2010. If you look at your calendars, it was just over 11 years ago.
Kidney strong.
And dialysis free.
Still going.
Yep. And so we took this picture that morning before the surgery.
Very early.
Early. And they came in and they separated us and took us back to surgery and literally put us back together again.
Right. And, you know, Sam was in the hospital 3 days. I was in the hospital 2 days, and it was amazing. But the whole point of this story is, you know, we started in center. We became self-care because we were empowered and educated. We went home with a big machine, and then next stage came along. We had that one with more frequent dialysis that set him up to be a perfect candidate, and we made it into transplant.
Yeah, and so many people have come to us and said, well, you and Lacey were just made to be together. You're just made a match made in heaven.
We would agree.
And we do. We agree. But we also believe that we all have these little guardian angels on our shoulders, right? And sometimes we just wear those little guys out.
I know we do.
I know you do. You know, and so, you know, that's when I feel like that's when we're gifted real life flesh and bone guardian angels, you know, and you know those guardian angels. They're the ones that carry us as patients through our journey. They're the ones that they come in and take care of us and teach us things at the dialysis clinics. If you're one of those patients, you have those guardian angels, and you do your best to learn from them. If you are a clinic professional, you know, patient-facing staff, be that guardian angel. Understand that we need you, and we can do so much through you.
Not to mention, if you're a patient, please engage in your care and learn everything you can to do for yourself, whether it's taking your own temperature, your blood pressure, your weight. Learn to self-cannulate. I know it's scary, but once you learn it, you won't go back. I promise.
You'll never let anybody touch you again.
Right.
You'll be so good at it.
But if you can do these things, that builds confidence so that you can go home and play with your grandkids, go back to work, go to school, hang out with your family, your friends. That is what is most important.
Yeah. And so, you know, here comes a big punchline. You know, so many people have come to us and said, you all have to tell this story. It's insane. And we would agree. And sometimes I would jokingly say, well, I don't know what I want to say, but I know what I want to call it. You're an inspiration. Because 17 years on dialysis, all I wanted to do was pee like a normal guy.
So many jokes.
And yeah, you know, so I was laughing about it. It was like, you're an inspiration. That's hilarious. And suddenly it was like a ton of bricks landed on my head. You're an inspiration.
Ooh.
That's deep. You know, and I started to doubt myself. Like, I'm no inspiration. I'm no motivation. I'm just a patient. And suddenly it was like God tapped me on the shoulder. It's not called I'm an inspiration. It's called you're an inspiration. See, the story is all about you guys and everything that you do for each other, your patients. If you're a patient with other patients and your family and friends, you are that inspiration. And we just want to encourage you. Tell your story.
Yes.
Ask questions.
Yes.
Be empowered.
And even if you are a patient, man, get up, go live. You have options to do what you want to do. So if you're in center, man, find a way to go home so that you can live on dialysis and put your life around dialysis, not the other way around.
Yeah. So we hope we can help. And if you guys need anything, you can always contact us. And we love you so much, and we're rooting for you. And thank you for your time.